The National Baseball Hall of Fame is one of the most enchanting places in the world. The history there is palpable, so much so that it feels almost like you're swimming through it as you make your way down the hallowed halls. A building to tell the stories of the greatest contributors to the sport. But what if that story is incomplete? Voting for the Hall of Fame comes down to the opinion of baseball writers, but their opinions are fallible, and far too often, greatness goes unrecognized. In this series, we aim to put forward a case for those left behind, for the people whose contributions to baseball were monumental, but for some reason or another, were left out of the sport's most exclusive club. Today, we'll be talking about one of the greatest first basemen to ever play the game. One of the few iconic Yankees who retired without a championship. A career .9959 fielding percentage, .307 batting average, and 9 Gold Gloves. All stats aside, he had one of the greatest nicknames ever, Donnie Baseball. Welcome back to the Bad Baseball Fan. Let's make the case for Don Mattingly. Before we dive in, just a friendly reminder to like, comment, and subscribe. Your constant support makes it possible for me to make these videos. Anyways, let's dive in. Donald Arthur Mattingly was born on April 20th, 1961, in Evansville, Indiana. The youngest of 5 kids, Mattingly took to baseball at an early age by playing wiffle ball with his siblings. He was a stud athlete at Reitz Memorial High School. Playing quarterback in football and point guard in basketball, he turned out to be a star in 3 sports, but he was always best at baseball. Leading his baseball team to a 59-game win streak and a state championship in his junior year, Mattingly began receiving college offers, and after graduating, was drafted in the 19th round of the 1979 MLB draft by the New York Yankees. He signed to a minor league deal, and his incredible professional career began. The 18-year-old Don Mattingly shipped out to New York to join the short-season Class A Anaheim Yankees to begin his professional career. He spent about 4 full seasons in the minor leagues, earning a call-up after each season, and in September of 1982, he got the call from the Yankees. His debut came on September 8th when he entered the game against the Orioles as a defensive replacement. He only appeared in 13 games for the New York Yankees in 1982 and managed to make the roster again coming out of spring training in 1983. He struggled for the first couple of weeks, getting sent down to Columbus in mid-April to work out the kinks. He spent 43 games in AAA before earning his final call-up. His rookie year in the Bronx was rather solid, slashing .283, .333, and .409 with 79 hits and 32 RBI. Hardly a breakout year for our great outfielder/first baseman, but enough to establish himself as somebody with serious potential. Heading into 1984, Yankees manager Yogi Berra clearly laid out that he intended on rostering Mattingly, but having him sit behind a known commodity of starters in both the outfield and first base. Donnie Baseball responded with a phenomenal spring, leaving Yogi no choice but to start him somewhere, and that somewhere would be first base. Mattingly would go on to hold down that position for the next 12 seasons. That 1984 season was the beginning of a 6-year stretch of phenomenal baseball by Mattingly. He finished out his first full season, winning his first and only batting title, and leading the league in hits and doubles, amassing a .343 average with 207 hits, 44 of which were 2-baggers. And for the first time in his professional career, he displayed a solid amount of power, smacking 23 home runs and driving in 110 runs. Worth noting was that Mattingly was the first Yankee to win the batting title since Mickey Mantle in 1956. He made his first All-Star team that summer as a reserve, and as just a 23-year-old man, took 5th in the AL MVP voting. Mattingly had a breakout year in '84, but in 1985, somehow he managed to top it, He made his second All-Star team in a row and finished the season posting a slash line of .324, .371, and .567, smacking 35 home runs and leading the league in doubles, total bases, and RBI, with 48, .370, and 145 respectively. The 145 runs driven in were the most by a left-handed hitter since Ted Williams in 1949. His monumental efforts led him to cleaning up the awards show, taking home the AL MVP, his first Gold Glove, and his first Silver Slugger. In just 2 full seasons of Major League Baseball, Don Mattingly had established himself as an elite baseball player, both at the plate and in the field. Somehow, he managed yet another year-over-year improvement, having what would be his most productive season in 1986. Slashing .352, .371, and .573, he hit 31 dingers while driving in 113 runs, leading the league in hits with 238, doubles with 53, slugging with the aforementioned .573, OPS with 967, OPS plus at 161, and total bases at 388. He walked into an All-Star appearance and earned his second Gold Glove and Silver Slugger, playing head and shoulders above any other position player in the American League. Unfortunately, he still fell just short of the MVP race to a dominant Roger Clemens, having one of the best wire-to-wire pitching seasons in modern baseball history. Donnie Baseball followed that up with yet another incredible season in 1987, making his 4th consecutive AL All-Star team and earning his 3rd consecutive Gold Glove and Silver Slugger awards. He slashed .327, .378, and .559, smacking 30 homers and driving in 115 runs throughout the year. Despite a slow start and a mid-season back injury to boot, the Hitman dominated the back half of the season, including a stretch of 8 consecutive games with a home run, breaking the AL record and tying Dale Long's Major League streak. Oh, and another Major League record of 6 Grand Slams in a single season. Year after year, Don Mattingly was making history. He saw a slight statistical regression over the next 2 seasons, with the back injury nagging him and beginning to diminish his ability to hit for power. Regardless, he still finished 88 with a .311, .353, and .462 slash line, hitting 18 home runs, driving in 88 RBI, and earning yet another All-Star appearance. Oh, and once again, the Gold Glove. 1989 saw him slash .303, .351, and .477, with an improved 23 home runs and 113 RBI. His return to form earned him his 6th consecutive All-Star nod and his 5th consecutive Gold Glove. In the offseason following 1989, George Steinbrenner made him the highest paid player in Major League history. Mattingly, a constantly humble man, intended on letting his play show his worth, but his back continued to hurt, causing him to miss most of the 1990 season, and playing injured when available. It all led to what would be the worst season of his career, posting a .256 average, .643 OPS, 5 home runs, and 42 RBI. Mattingly would rehab his back aggressively and return to the field, but his power would never return. He played full-time for the next 5 seasons in the Bronx, but was always diminished at the plate, only batting over .300 a single time in 1994, the strike-shortened season. What didn't diminish was his play at first base, as he earned Gold Gloves in 91, 92, 93, and 94, to bring his career total to 9. When it was all said and done, Don Mattingly was one of, if not the greatest defensive first baseman to ever play the game. Something we haven't talked about yet is Mattingly's postseason exploits, but that would be because there weren't any, at least not until 1995. Don Mattingly, all-time great first baseman, career-long Yankee legend, made the playoffs one time in his entire tenure in the Bronx. When he did make the playoffs, he got 5 games, and that was it. Participating in the legendary ALDS against the Mariners in 1995, Mattingly went off at the plate. Posting a .417 average and 24 at-bats, he had an OPS of 1148 and drove in 6 runs. Despite his efforts, as we all know, the Mariners would win that series and go on to the ALCS against the Indians. Following the disappointing postseason exit, Mattingly announced that he would take a year off in 1996, desiring more time with his growing children and needing time to rest his back. As he worked on his horse farm in Indiana, his Yankees would go on to win the 1996 World Series. That following January, at a press conference at Yankee Stadium, Donnie Baseball announced his retirement. Later that year, on August 31st, the Yankees held Don Mattingly Day, retiring his number 23 in Monument Park amongst the Yankee greats. Going into the 1990s, the broader baseball community believed that Mattingly would be a shoo-in for Cooperstown. But injuries had shortened his career and limited his ability to produce during the last several seasons. In an era where bulk production was the end-all be-all, his Hall of Fame candidacy suddenly became up in the air. 5 years following his retirement, his name appeared on the 2001 Hall of Fame ballot, offering him his first chance at enshrinement. Unfortunately, the writers who so often lauded his career had changed their tune. Needing 75% of the vote to be elected, he fell dramatically shy at only 28.2%. That number fell in 2002 to only 20.3%, and again in 2003 to just 13.7%. He hovered around the 10 to 15% mark for the remainder of his time on the ballot, finishing with only 9.1% in his final try in 2015. He appeared on the Classic Era ballot in 2018 and failed to receive any votes. Then the Contemporary Era ballot in 2020, again failing to receive any votes. Then, finally, a small breakthrough as he was named to the Contemporary Era ballot again in 2023 and gained 8 of the 12 votes required for induction. The question here is, why did it take so long, and will this momentum continue? As I write this, I'm constantly considering how Mattingly's greatness was so easily forgotten, and I've come up with 2 answers. First, his lack of playoff exploits. Donnie Baseball's career was clearly snake-bitten. He made only 1 appearance in the playoffs, yet the year prior to his call-up to the Yankees, they played in the World Series. And the year following his end with the Yankees saw them win the whole dang thing. Second, Mattingly was a consummate professional, a man who was constantly humble and kept his whole life focused on baseball. While he was a superstar player, he never displayed a bigger-than-life superstar persona. We envy men like Mattingly with their quiet confidence, yet attention is a currency, and those who trade in it often profit. Mattingly always seemed to reject that type of economy. Still, though, I find his Hall of Fame voting numbers appalling. A humble professional who displayed a 6-year-long prime of all-time great baseball, snake-bitten with injury, but never succumbing to it. A leader on and off the field, and a model of consistency and perseverance. And he was arguably the best to ever field his position, too. That 28.2% on the 2002 ballot was an abomination to his talents on the field. On November 3rd, 2025, 8 players were announced to be a part of the 2025 Contemporary Era ballot, to be voted for on December 7th. And Mattingly's name is amongst them. With another shot and enshrinement soon on the horizon, let's dive into why Donnie Baseball should be elected into the Hall of Fame. Let's start with his work with the bat. Obviously, his career numbers as a whole have made people scoff at his candidacy. But in order to do that, you must reject his dominant run in the 80s. Through the age of 28, Mattingly had a career OPS plus of 144, ranking 6th all-time amongst first basemen. For a 6 to 7 year stretch, Mattingly was considered one of, if not the most feared hitter in the game. Even after his back injury slowed down his hitting, he still managed to round out his career with a .307 average and 127 OPS plus. establishing him as, at bare minimum, a very good to elite hitter during his tenure. His 162 game averages amount to 195 hits, 20 home runs, and 100 RBI a year. His numbers weren't eye-popping, but they were consistently well above league average. While his batting numbers amount to more of a Hall of Very Good case, when you account for his abilities with the glove, it becomes a no-brainer that he should be inducted into Cooperstown. It goes without saying that 9 Gold Gloves are Hall of Fame worthy. But that total is made all the more impressive given he only played about 13 full seasons in his career. Accounting for all 14 seasons that Mattingly played in, he finished his career winning the Gold Glove over 64% of the time. And maybe most impressive on the award front, he scooped up all 9 Gold Glove awards in just a 10-year stretch, with the one fruitless year being his severely injured 1990 campaign. Of all of the first basemen to ever play more than 10,000 innings at first base, Mattingly ranks tied for the 6th highest fielding percentage in history at .9958. For reference, this implies that for every 1,000 balls hit or thrown Mattingly's way, he only made a mere 4 errors. For well over a decade, it was known that there was no better fielding first baseman in the American League. His defensive capabilities weren't just elite, they were legendary. When you look at Mattingly's career, it appears that his exploits were drowned out by a lack of team success and a lack of a larger-than-life personality. I also almost wonder if his fielding flew under the radar despite the awards, because he might not have even been the best fielding first baseman in New York, as for part of his career, he played across town from Keith Hernandez, the only first baseman to eclipse Mattingly in career Gold Gloves with 11. Hernandez himself apparently also failed to impress the voters despite his all-time great defense, and we'll be making a video about him as well. Either way, despite playing in the biggest market in baseball, a particular set of circumstances seemed to always diminish Donnie Baseball's on-the-field accomplishments, through no fault of his own. I think it's important to analyze his career in a modern context, with a few extra decades of history to look back on. His Hall of Fame candidacy, just like Lou Whitaker's, began in the wake of the steroid era. Writers and fans were still in the midst of watching Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa break baseball, and I worry that this may have skewed the perception of those gritty players who quietly did their jobs at an elite level for years. As impossible statistical markers were being reached and the baseball world focused in on home runs, defense and slap hitting became less attractive, and their perceived value dropped. Now we live in a time of advanced metrics, giving us more detailed insights into former players' careers, allowing us to compare between eras and more accurately assume a player's true value. I truly believe as time goes on, and traditional hitting numbers continue to fall around the league, a career like Mattingly's starts to stand out. A legendary fielder who early in his career appeared to be an all-time great hitter. And despite his back giving out at just 29 years old, he made an adjustment and maintained a decent level of production at the plate for the rest of his career. The disrespect towards Donnie Baseball is not justified. I mean, for goodness sake, how many Yankees have their number retired virtually instantly and aren't Hall of Fame worthy? A humble man with all the talent in the world and a work ethic to back it up. Don Mattingly has always been a man worth admiring, both because of his ability to play baseball and because of the man that he is. And I think it's finally time to give Donnie Baseball his flowers. Thank you for joining me as we made the case for the Hitman. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Check out our merch linked below, and if you want more ways to support the channel, consider clicking the join button below to become a member of the Bad Baseball Fan Community Clubhouse. Anyways, that's all I have for you now. Fingers crossed we'll get news of Mattingly being elected here soon. And remember, if you like baseball, like this video and subscribe for more.